everyone, my name is Karen. I'm putting this video together for those of you who are looking to maybe become a shopper for Instacart, or maybe you just signed up and you aren't sure what the next step is. So hopefully this will answer any questions or concerns you have. I know there are several other videos on YouTube that people have posted that do have a lot of good information, but there were still some questions that I had that were left unanswered, and so I've included those, and hopefully the information I give you will help you out and get you a little more relaxed, because this is pretty easy stuff as far as the application of it. So don't stress about it. It's a good way to make extra cash if you're looking to make extra cash. If you're looking to make this into a viable income, this may be a platform for you due to the flexibility of how you schedule your hours, or if you're thinking about doing Instacart in tandem with one of the other delivery services like Shipt or DoorDash or Deliver. So first and foremost, what is Instacart? It's a customer service-based industry. A customer goes online and purchases groceries through the Instacart app. You are notified of an order, or as Instacart calls it, a batch. An order is referred to as a batch. You're offered a batch. You accept it. You go to the grocery store. You shop their order, check out, and deliver it. And that's it. There's pretty easy peasy stuff. That's pretty much Instacart in a nutshell. So how do I start? And I have my notes here just to make sure I don't forget anything, hopefully. I'm getting up in age, so the brain isn't working as good anymore. So how do I start? You download the Instacart app. And if you know anybody that is already doing Instacart, ask them if they have a referral code. And I'll explain why that is important here in a second. So you download the Instacart app and you give them your vital information, such as, and I don't know if you can hear the train whistle, I live close to the train, your name, your address, your email address. The last two are really important. You want to make sure your address is absolutely correct, because Instacart will then base what zones you would be available to, or what zones they'll make available to you to shop. And I'll explain zones as well. And also your email address is correct, and it's the one you check. I know I have another email I do for stuff, so all the junk mail goes to that. Make sure you use the email you check all the time, because within the first week and a half of you signing up, you're going to be getting a lot of correspondence from them, verifying your address. I believe it's like a 15 or 20 minute questionnaire you have to complete, which is what you would consider like your training seminar. So you have to complete these things before you can even start shopping. So make sure your email is absolutely correct, and it's the one you actually use, and that your address is absolutely correct, and make sure your name is correct as well. You know, when I get to typing fast, sometimes I skip a letter. So just make sure all of your vital information is correct as it appears on the screen. So that's super easy peasy stuff. Now we'll go back to the referral code. If you have somebody that can give you a referral code, it's because you can earn a bonus, or the person who referred you would earn a bonus, and then I would hope y'all would be on a good terms or good relationship, or maybe you would split that bonus with each other. The amount of the bonus varies by region. I can't give you an exact amount. Instacart will let you know what that bonus amount is. For example, my sister gave me her referral code. Now, where I used to live in New York, and where she still is, the Instacart app told her the referral amount would be $100. Great. You know, we'll do whatever the requirements are, and if I end up not liking Instacart, no big deal. I will have made whatever cash I earned, and, you know, $50 split, 50 for her, 50 for me. In my region, and I live just outside of Chicago now, my referral is $400. So when she referred me, it gave us the $400 because I live in a different region, so it went by the region I live in. So that was a pleasant surprise. So that was a $200 split just for me giving it a try. Now, if you live in Colorado, it could be $200. If you live in Washington, it could be $300. If you live in Florida, it could be $100. That's something Instacart will tell you the amount that the referral bonus would be. The requirements are that as the new shopper, you need to complete one order, one batch by an assigned date. Now, when I signed up, it gave me 4 weeks, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks to complete my very first batch. That's one batch in 3 weeks, not bad. After that, you have to complete a certain assigned number of hours in order for that bonus to be verified, validated, whatever, assigned. I think I had to do like 30 complete hours, and it gave me like 6 weeks or something. From the day I signed up to that end date was like 5 or 6 weeks, which is a lot of time for that amount of hours, especially if you're only doing this part-time to earn extra money. They give you ample opportunity in order to acquire those hours so you can get the bonus. So the referral code can be a very big deal. So if you know someone who does Instacart, ask them for their referral code and then just split the bonus between the two of you. Works out. And if you end up not doing Instacart, it's a little bit of extra money, 30 hours, 40 hours, whatever it is that you may have completed, plus whatever money you earn. So several $100s for 30, 40 hours of your time over an extended period of time, 4, 5, 6 weeks, whatever it is, not so worse to give something a try. So make sure you get a referral code if you can. So now that you're signed up, what do? So you got your referral code in, you put in all your vital information. What's the next step? Instacart will email you with each step. One of them is they do a background check. They want, assuming that you pass your background check, you then should receive the email about doing that 15, 20 minute or 25, it's not very long, training session essentially. So you have to complete that. Instacart also requires that you have insulated grocery bags or insulated shopping bags. You can either purchase them through Instacart or you can use the ones you have or purchase whatever ones you want. If you do not purchase them through Instacart, you have to show proof that you have them to Instacart, and they will send you an email saying we need verification, and you just follow the steps that they provide for you in the email. I had to submit a picture. The ones I got, I bought at Walmart for $5 a piece. I didn't have them prior to signing up for Instacart, but I didn't want to make a major investment in case I didn't like Instacart. I didn't put a whole lot of money into it. I bought 3 of them, so I spent $15 and some change for tax. And that way, if I didn't like Instacart, I had a few nice insulated bags for my own grocery shopping. Like I said, I started a month and a half ago. They should still be available at Walmart. I will put the link below, so that way if you want to use those, there's supposed to be a 50 can capacity. Essentially, you can stack 4 gallons of milk in the bag. And Instacart did approve these bags. And I found that 3 works plenty, even for very large orders. I've done orders where I've had 120, 130 items, and 3 was more than enough. Just make sure you get bags approved. So you have the app downloaded, your information in, hopefully you have a referral code, you pass the background check, you do their training questionnaire, and you get your insulated bags approved. So now, once you get all of that done, they will mail to you a lanyard with a little hard plastic thing that just says Instacart and a MasterCard debit card. And that's how you pay for the groceries at checkout. So always make sure you know where that is at all times. Because if you lose it or get stolen or whatever the case is, that means you can't shop until you get your replacement card. So that does cost you money. So make sure you always know where your debit card is. So next is selecting hours for your shifts, what shifts you want, which is very easy. Instacart has made a very user-friendly platform in their app. It is very easy to navigate. They do have a shopper help center on their on the home page of the app, which they call the dashboard. Read through it. There is a plethora of information in there that may answer a lot of questions that you have that I may not cover here, somebody else on YouTube may not cover. So read through it. It's worth the time. One of the big things on there on the dashboard is you go in the upper left hand corner, and that's where you can have a menu and it slides out, is a demo order. And go use it. It's a good tool because it gets you familiar with how an order pops up, how to walk you through an order, and how to check out with that demo order, so it isn't such a surprise when you actually take in your real first order. So use that platform, use the demo order. It'll help out immensely. But with the hours, let's go back to the hours. Selecting hours are very easy. I will do another video where I actually will walk you through on the app and how to select your hours, how to waitlist for hours, how to get early access status, how to set your vacation, and you can look at past hours that you've already worked. So I'll set up a short video, show you how to do that, and walk you through picking the hours process. But it's a very, very simple process. You choose hours, you go in and you see the week, and it gives you the days, and you just tap on the day where it says pick up hours, and you select what hours you want. The big thing though with selecting hours is you have to do them in 2-hour blocks minimum. They do have like 11 to 12, noon to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and so on. You cannot select just 1 to 2. It has to be 1 to 3. You have to select in 3-hour blocks. They will not let you take anything less than, or not 3-hour, 2-hour blocks. They will not let you shift for less than 2 hours at a time. So keep that in mind when you're going to select your hours. But like I said in the other video, I'll show you how to do that. Now that you have all of your stuff, you've selected your hours, you're now on your first shift, you've now accepted your first order. Your first few orders, and I find this a little irritating, but I'm assuming Instacart considers this part of their training, is while you're in the middle of the order, like say you go to pick your very first produce items, you're going to go pick a bunch of bananas or whatever the case is. Instacart pops up a question, and it's a multiple choice answer, and you can choose several answers on some of these questions. So they're doing like training while you're in the middle of an order, which I think is irritating, but I understand why they do it. Take the time to read the question, and then select your answers, because if you just start selecting answers just to get out of it, because you cannot back out of it. You have to answer it, and you have to answer it correctly in order to continue with your order, with the batch. So take the time to read it so you can get all the answers in right away so you can get back to shopping for your batch. So those first few orders, don't stress too much about whether or not you are within the time that they give you to shop the order, because that is going to delay you a little bit. Obviously, you can't deliver it an hour later than what they promised the customer, but don't stress over, I'm 2-3 minutes over, 4 minutes, 5 minutes over the time they gave me, because they have thrown these questions in there. So just so you're aware, those first few orders, they're going to have some pop-up questions, and you have to answer them. You can't back out. You have to answer those questions. And that's where that demo order comes in. If you do that, it'll help you get through that shopping a little quicker, because then you might know what to expect. So you've shop the order, and one of the really important things when you're shopping or when you first accept the order, On your screen in the upper right-hand corner is a little green eye with a circle around it, which is I for information. If you tap on that little circle, it'll come up with another screen, and it'll show you when it should be delivered by, this batch. It'll give you the customer's first name and the first letter of their last name. They don't give you the full name, their address, and any special notes, which are really important. Whenever you accept an order or when you're starting to shop that order, always look at any special notes. There could be something in there like, I only prefer organic produce. Please do not substitute regular produce if organic is out. Or they'll say, you know, knock on door, doorbell is broken. Something like that. So those little tidbits of information can be very helpful. And then within the batch itself, for every individual item that's listed, the customer can list a special note, like bananas. Please make sure unripe. Avocados, make sure they're very unripe, or whatever the case is. Trick cereal, please do not substitute with Captain Crunch, or whatever the case is. They can put individual notes with each item if they prefer. Okay, so make sure you pay attention to those as well. But that little I information button is great for information. During an order, if you need to contact the customer through the chat, like texting, you do not get the customer's phone number and they don't get yours. Instacart works as a middleman and is sent as a message under like 45266 or 4 stuff. One of those SMS messages, which is security for your information, security for the customer's information. The same thing works. Before you go to checkout, some customers prefer that you call them to review any changes that you've made to their order, replacements, refunds, what have you. But you don't, again, don't have their phone number and they don't have yours. Instead, what Instacart does as the middleman is they'll use a local area code number for your region. So like here, because I'm in the Chicago region, it comes as a Chicago phone number. That's what the customer sees and that's what I see. So when I hit call to review a number, my phone actually rings and I have to accept the phone call from Chicago because that's the base that it comes from. So in your region, if you live in Miami, it might be a Miami area code. If you live in LA, it might be an LA area code. So just be aware of that. Your information is not shared. Their personal information isn't shared as far as phone numbers and stuff. Obviously, you see their address because how do you get to their house if you don't? But just so there isn't that concern. Because I know some of the other apps, your phone number is shared with them and theirs with yours, which I don't necessarily like. But I like this security measure that Instacart has. But you've finished shopping the order, now you need to deliver. So you go to checkout, you check out the groceries like normal, and you swipe the card, it pays for the order. And Instacart has put in a buffer. So say you have to replace an item, their original item only cost $2, but this replacement costs $4. That's $2 more than what their pre-authorized amount was when they were shopping online. Instacart allows a buffer of like $5 or $10, I believe. So if you do have to make a replacement, the card won't be denied for the groceries. So you slide the card through, it gets approved, and you go to deliver. If you can, use self-checkout. That will save you precious time instead of having to wait in line and have somebody else bag it and things like that. So if you can, use self-checkout. If self-checkout isn't available, well, you're just going to have to stick in line, I guess. So now you're going to deliver, get out to your car, and once you're done with your checkout, it uploads automatically to Instacart the receipt information. And then what will pop up on your screen in your Instacart app is success, go to next step, and you tap on that, and now you're ready to deliver. And it'll show the customer's name, their address. You tap on navigate, which is right next to it, the button, and Google Maps will pop up. And it'll tell you where to go, You deliver and you're done. You've just delivered your first order. Congratulations, yay! So it's a very relatively easy service to do. It just has those little ins and outs that you'll learn as you go along. So that's essentially what Instacart is. Pretty easy. So that's just glossing over very basic what Instacart is. And what is required for you to start, which really isn't a lot. It really isn't a lot. So I just want to share some tips and tricks I've learned within this last month and a half. Like I said, I'm not an old hat at this. There are people who have been doing it since Instacart started, which I think was just over 2 years ago, so a while ago. So what I've learned and what other shoppers have shared with me. So just remember, you're signing up. Hopefully you got a referral code. You have to have your insulated bags approved. You have to do the questionnaire. Like I said, they email you with every step of what you need to do. You got to have your background check done, and then you select your hours, and then on your first shift, you accept your first batch. Check out that little green eye information with any special orders that the customer may have. And then make sure you check with each item you're shopping for whether or not there are special instructions. And I will do another video where I will shop with you with an order and show you with your timer, because in the lower right hand corner they give you, say, 15 minutes to shop an order of 12 items, or shop a batch, you know, they call it a batch of 12 items. And so I'll show you all of those ins and outs, and I'll do a video with that. They'll detail that a little bit more. But these are the little tips and tricks I wanted to share with you, and hopefully they help you out. Always keep your phone on you at all times. Part of it, maybe you go to deliver to a customer and they're not home. What you do then is you leave their groceries on their porch, on their lanai, in their breezeway, wherever it is they require or request that you leave them, or they may not, and you have to leave them there because no one's there to answer the door. You have to take a picture that you delivered it. That protects you as the shopper to show proof that you delivered it, and it protects the customer, because in case somebody comes along and takes their stuff while they're away, they have the ability then to file a claim with Instacart, and then they can deal with that. Would be between the customer and Instacart. But mostly it protects you from the customer saying, well, they never delivered it. Yes, I did. I have a photo. I sent it to you. I know for a fact that your groceries were delivered. So very important to keep your phone on you for that. But mainly it's for your safety. Crazy is everywhere. Okay? Crazy doesn't care what sex you are, how old you are, how young you are, what kind of neighborhood you live in, your social status, your financial status, your race, your creed, your color, your religion. Crazy doesn't care. It doesn't discriminate. Always keep your phone on you just for safety. You never know where crazy is. But secondly, always have a charger with you, whether it's a wireless charger, one of the cigarette lighters. In my truck, I have a 110 outlet, so I can use it just like a regular outlet. So, because Instacart and Google Maps does drain the heck out of your battery. So they're huge battery drains. Always have a charger on you so you don't lose charge on your phone. There can be downtimes between orders, so make sure you bring things with you. Because if you live outside of the zone that you're doing your shift in, like I said, I'll explain zones here. If you live outside the zone and have to drive into it in order to receive batches, you could have downtimes. So if you're not at home where some of the zones are, your home might be in the center of it. So you don't have to leave home until you get an order or batch. I bring my knitting and my crochet with me, and there have been times where it's been slow in between orders and I've been able to work on a project. So make sure you bring something to keep yourself entertained. So zones, they are broken up, and there is like a perimeter around it. So areas, and again, I'll show when I, do a video to show you a walkthrough of how to shop and order. I'll start by showing you a map of the zone, and, it's set up as a perimeter. Okay, and you can also see that in your hours when you go to select your hours. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, once you select a day, so let's say I select, I don't know, June 2nd. I tap on that day so I can select my hours. When you scroll all the way to the bottom of that page, it'll say selected zones for you to shop. If you tap on that, it'll bring up a map of your area, and it'll have shaded areas for the different zone names, and it'll show you exactly what cities and towns are within that zone. So you can then decide, I don't like this area so much. This area is too far away for me to even drive to, much less drive around in. And so you can select which zones that way, what hours you wanna procure a shift for. So they've made it pretty nice as far as keeping track of those kinds of things. So make sure when you're selecting your shift, you're selecting the zone you want that shift in, because they will give you a couple options. So just be mindful of that when you're selecting your hours. That comes to know your delivery areas within that zone. So say you pick zone A, whatever town, Johnsonville town zone, okay? Know your areas. Look at that map when you select an hour for that day, and you can see your zone, and you can zoom in and see those different towns. If you're not familiar with them, but that's an area you would like to shop, take a day before your first shift and drive around. Like I said, crazy's everywhere, but crazy's got to live somewhere too. And unfortunately, sometimes crazy's group together, and it can make for a very unfavorable area. It's sad to say, I wish I didn't have to, but there are just areas that are not safe to deliver to. So know your areas. If you're unsure about an area, see if you know another shopper, like somebody referred you, and ask them what areas aren't very good to deliver to, just because it may be a safety issue. If you aren't sure, take someone with you. If it's to an area that you're unsure of, remember, safety first. If it's a nice area, great, fine. But you never want to be alone in an area that you're unfamiliar with and may not be safe. Take someone with you. You're less likely to have an issue. I'm 5'2", 100 pounds. I'm 43 years old, and I got health issues. I'm well aware of my limitations, so there are certain areas I will not deliver to just because I know my limitations, and some of the areas are not very friendly to anybody. Like I said, crazy doesn't discriminate. So just be mindful that it is an unfortunate thing that you do have to think of, but think of it, because $20 isn't worth the possibility of getting carjacked or mugged or whatever. It isn't worth it. $20 isn't worth it. Also, just err on the side of caution. But also, you need to know areas in case they are highly congested. If it's a downtown area and you may be delivering to apartments above stores, row housing, depending on where you're at, might depend on how a neighborhood is set up. So you may have to look for alternate parking. You may not be able to park in front of that customer's house. You may have to park around the block due to the size of your vehicle or the traffic. Some areas I would have to go around. I drive a Ram 2500 turbo diesel heavy duty. So there are certain areas that my truck just won't fit. Especially in downtown areas where you have to parallel park. They aren't meant for trucks my size. They would be very hard to get into. So just be aware of potential areas that you may have to find alternate parking or alternate ways, especially apartment complexes where they have parking garages and you have to have a transponder or a code in order to even get into the parking garage, depending on your area. So just be aware of those things before you go out. Also, gated communities. Where I shop at, we have a ton of gated communities. A lot of them require for you to go through a security gate. So when your GPS takes you to wherever it is you need to go, be aware of if it's, zoom in. I'm like, yeah, that might be near that one gated community, Whispering Wind Estates or whatever the case is. because you may have to go to that front gate, because sometimes GPS will try and take you to a back entrance because that's the quickest way to get to their house, but it's not the quickest way for you. So make sure you know where your gated communities are that require for you to go through a front gate or through a security gate. Customer shopper ratio. Remember, this is a numbers game. So the higher the density of the population, the higher the chances there are people who are going to use Instacart to get their groceries. That means the higher the probability there are going to be shoppers. So although it may be a super busy area, you might have a higher shopper ratio. So you may not be as busy as you think. So just remember, when you're selecting zones to shop in and areas to shop in, potentially how busy it could be according to the population, which means you might have more shoppers. So just keep that in mind too. It's all about the numbers, okay? Instacart does pay for mileage. They pay 60 cents a mile. I believe that's straight across the board, doesn't matter what region you're in. But the mileage they pay is only from the store to the customer's house. They do not pay you for mileage from your home to get to the store, or after you complete a delivery and you accept a new batch. From that person's house, that customer you just delivered to the new store. They don't pay you for that mileage either. So keep that in mind. So for like someone like me that has a larger diesel vehicle, my mileage is going to be different as far as fuel efficiency as, say, a Prius hybrid. I get good fuel efficiency because it is a diesel vehicle, but it's a larger vehicle, whereas like a Prius is a much smaller vehicle. They do keep track of the mileage for you. I do this just because of my vehicle. You don't have to, but what I keep track of is my start point is, so like from my home to my first store for my first order, and then from that store to the customer, because that's what Instacart will pay me. And then that new start point is from that last order to the new store to the new customer. And then I do that. And I keep it in a little book. Like I said, you don't have to do this, but it helps me keep track of the miles I'm paid for every week to what miles I'm not paid for every week. And at the week end, because they pay you weekly, I can see how many miles I was actually paid for to how many miles I wasn't actually paid for. So I can see how much fuel I'm paying for out of pocket that I'm not being compensated for. And it works out anywhere from $10 to $20 a week that I'm paying out of pocket that Instacart isn't covering on my mileage. But I'm also making a decent amount of money. So I subtract that from whatever my weekly earnings were, and then that's what I consider my true weekly earnings. You don't have to do that. That's just something I do. I'm kind of anal retentive like that, but that's solely up to you. But Instacart does pay you for mileage from that point A to point B. Find out what stores are in your zones. There are national chains like Aldi and Meijer, Sam's Club, BJ's, Costco that Instacart is partnered with, but you may also have your local grocery store chains. Like here in Chicago, we have Strack and Van Til, Town and Country, and Jewel. Your area, it might be like IGA, Piggly Wiggly, Kroger, Price Chopper, something like that. So make sure you know what stores are in your zones or in your areas. And if you've never grocery shopped there before your first shift, walk through the store. Go to customer service. See if they have a layout of the store, a printout that they can give you, so you can have that with you. So when you're doing your very first few shopping trips, you're not going back and forth wondering where the heck it is. Like here, Strack and Van Til, one of our local stores, I shop 8 different locations, and every location has a different layout, and the layouts are horrible. By far my least favorite store to shop in. It is just god-awful. Hopefully you don't have any stores like that. Sorry, Strax, if you're seeing this, but you need to really figure out the way you have your stores laid out. Whereas more national chains like Aldi, their layouts are pretty similar. They don't change very much from location to location. And if they do, it's so minor that you can still navigate without much issue. But speaking of Aldi, if you've never shopped at Aldi before, you have to have a quarter with you. That's how you get your grocery cart. Without a quarter, you don't have a grocery cart because they're chained together. You pop it in the little thing, it unchains it from the cart in front of you, and it's an assurance for Aldi that you will return the cart, which is actually kind of smart. But Aldi is a discount grocery store like a Pick and Save or Save-A-Lot. Their footprint is rather small, so they're a very easy store to navigate and to memorize, so you can shop through Aldi pretty quickly. You also are required to bag your own groceries at Aldi. That means that you have to purchase your own bags. If you don't bring in, because you can't just give the customer your insulated bags and them not give them back to you. You can either purchase paper or plastic bags. You do not have to pay for those out of pocket. The customer pays for them. You complete the order like normal. You check out like normal. You let the cashier know, I have 6 paper bags. The cashier charges the 6 paper bags. The receipt is uploaded to Instacart just like normal. But instead of the next page being success, go to next step, it then asks you how many bags does the customer need to be charged for. That's when you would put in 6, done. Now you get the success, go to next step, where you can navigate to deliver to them. Aldi also has, if they have any of their empty boxes, you can use those at no charge. So don't stress, don't worry about it. Not a big deal as far as that goes. Also, Aldi puts security tags on their shrimp and on some of their packaged meat, like their New York strip steaks, ribeye, packaged meats like that. So you may set off the security alarm when you leave Aldi. Just make sure you have your receipt available in case somebody needs to check that. Speaking of receipts though, do not give your customer the paper receipt. They receive an electronic receipt from Instacart, and the prices on that paper receipt may vary from the ones that the electronic receipt that they receive from Instacart. So make sure you do not give them the paper receipt. I did not know that when I first started. I ended up having somebody call Instacart on me because a price had changed. I had no idea not to give them the paper receipt. Don't give them the paper receipt. Cash tips. Some people do like to tip in cash. Just be very gracious about it. Normally I'm like, no, that's okay. Most of those people are like, yeah, you're taking it whether you like it or not. So just be very gracious, say thank you, and go on about your day. So sometimes you get cash tips, sometimes you don't. Just be gracious. Be aware of the holidays when you are scheduling your hours, because it may be a slower day or it may be a very busy day depending on the holiday. And it also depends on the weather. So keep track of your weather reports, especially if you live up north like we do, where you can get all 4 seasons in one day. You have to dress for all 4 seasons. So just be aware that when you're selecting hours for your shift, you keep track of what the weather, potential weather may be, because the worse the weather, the more apt you are to be busy, because people don't want to go out in crap weather. And also holidays, because holidays may also increase traffic and increase the amount of orders or none at all. So just keep that in mind when you're selecting your shifts, what the weather and the holidays may be. When you're going to review an order, if you can, pull over. It's like texting and driving. They give you 3.5, 4 minutes to review an order. So pull over if you can. Just like texting. I can't stand text. So if you can, pull over. Always be yourself. Don't change for anybody. I've always had that. But you have to be mindful that you are delivering to every race, creed, color, religion. And what you might find funny, somebody else may not. If you have a t-shirt that is covered in all these stick figures that have all the different Kama Sutra positions, I actually think that's kind of funny. You think that's funny. The mom of 3 with the little peoples running around may not find that so funny. Okay, so just be mindful of who it is that you're delivering to. And that also comes to music. Do you. Listen to whatever you want. But when you're pulling up to a customer's house and your bass is vibrating everything around you, you may just have woken up the baby that took that poor mom 2 hours to get to lay down, and now that baby's awake again. So be mindful of these things because it will affect your money. Remember, this is a numbers game. The end game is to make money. You want to keep them happy, but you're doing this to make money, and this can affect the money you make. It also comes down to smoking. Don't smoke when you have somebody's groceries in your car. It's rude. Most deliveries take 10 minutes or less, so you can wait the 10 minutes. I'm a former smoker. I get it. Most of the time when I was smoking, I was in my car, and half the time I didn't even realize I was lighting up. I get it. I totally get it. But wait till at least you're a block away before you light up to have a smoke, before you turn your music back up, you know, do you. But be mindful that this is a customer service-based industry, and the customer can affect your money. And the reason why I say that, these things, you know, be mindful of what you're wearing, your appearance, smoke, that includes vaping. I vape. That includes vaping, you know, your music, is because if they give you a 5-star review for your service, you just earned another $3. So if you did 5 orders in one day and you get 5-star reviews, that's an extra $15. Well, guess what? If you do 20 orders in a week and all of them give you a 5-star review, that's another $60 you just earned on top of what you already earned for each batch. So it does make a difference how you appear, how you approach, how you leave. So just keep that in mind. Money, money, money. And because you're eating in your car, if you're smoking, after each order, keep wipes in your car, wipe down your hands, hand sanitizer, because personally I don't want somebody else's funk on my food. I wouldn't think you would either. Think like as if these are your groceries you're going to eat. Why would you want somebody else's funk on your stuff? Nobody does. The lanyard you get, wear it if you can. Not all shoppers do. I don't wear it when it's super stupid windy outside. It's like getting slapped in the face with a roll of quarters. It's not fun. But it's a good identifier for employees at stores. They tend to be more helpful. Not that they aren't already, but they tend to be more readily helpful. Other customers in the store tend to kind of step back because they realize you're on a time limit, you're performing a service. Doesn't mean you get to be rude, still be mindful, excuse me, pardon me, I just need you to reach it, excuse me. But they tend to be more mindful. And also when you deliver, it gives peace of mind to the person you're delivering to, because although they see your picture when you accept their order, it's kind of nice for them to see that's who you are. Who is this stranger pulling into my driveway or coming up to my door? You don't have to. I know they suggest you do. Not every shopper does. It's totally up to you, but I would suggest wearing your lanyard if the wind doesn't whip it in your face and cut you. And like I said, use self-checkout if you can. It'll really help. You are paid weekly, and in your automatic deposit, it does not show as Instacart, it shows as Stripe. So make sure you're mindful of that when you're looking for your deposit. It'll come up under the name of Stripe, not Instacart. By no means am I a CPA, financial advisor, etc., anything that has to do with money. I think numbers are the work of the devil. I hate math. I hate it with a passion. But if you are doing this as a full-time job, especially as a full-time job or even part-time, make sure you talk to a CPA that deals with tax law and stuff like that, so you know whether or not you are going to have to file federal taxes, state taxes, local, county, however that works, because you are an independent contractor. You fill out a W-9 when you give them all your vital information. At the end of the year, they file a 1099 with the IRS. And if you meet within whatever bracket, you may have to pay taxes. Most of the time, as an independent contractor, you have to pay them quarterly, not at the end of the year like you would normally with a W-2 or W-4. So just make sure, especially if you're going to be making quite a bit of money on this, that you talk to somebody about your finances, especially for taxes. Because you do not want to be penalized and all of that crap, because then the IRS owns you, even though it's an illegal entity, but we're not going to go into that. Make sure you talk to somebody that does it for a living, so that way you aren't stung in the end. You want to make the money, you don't want it taken away from you by the IRS, okay? Also, like Like I said, if you have to replace or refund an item, and some customers prefer that you call them to review, have a scripted greeting. So that way you aren't umming and erring and all the way through, because it'll extend the conversation, which extends the time that you're spent shopping, which delays your delivery. This is all about fast, fast, fast. The quicker you are, the more orders you get, the more money you'll make eventually. Okay, it will take time to build up your speed. Be patient and relax, but you will get there. Have something scripted. So mine is usually, hi, whomever. This is Karen, your Instacart shopper for the day. It stated that you wanted to be contacted with any changes to your order prior to checkout, and I wanted to review those with you. Do you have a moment? And usually they say yes. You go over with whatever they review. You're like, okay, thank you very much. I will check out your order and have it delivered to you promptly. Boom. Most of my conversations last less than a minute. Fast, fast, fast. Because having that scripted greeting, you keep it pleasant, but it also keeps you from rambling and peppering them with a whole bunch of and ers. Okay, and that might get them distracted and irritated because they're here to get their stuff quickly. They don't want to talk to you. Okay, get it to them. If it's busy, Instacart may ask you if you want to start your shift early. They'll send you a notification, and you can either start your shift by 1 hour or 2 hours, and you can say 1 or 2, or you can decline it. You are not obligated to start early. You don't have to. It's an option, and it'll appear on your dashboard on the Instacart app, and also on a notification on your phone, like an email, like a little thing that pops up. So you go to your dashboard and you either select 1 hour, 2 hour, or you X out of it, and you're done. You're not obligated to, but it's a nice option if you want to pick up extra money and they're that busy, they offer it to you. On the flip side, if it's super slow, they will offer if you want to end your shift early. That is something you can do without penalty to you for, canceling your hours early. They will, it'll pop up on your dashboard. Again, another notification. We have more shoppers than we do have orders. Would you like to finish your shift early? Again, you are not obligated. You can either choose to continue to work your shift or end it early. Totally up to you. I just hope this video answered some of the questions and concerns that you have. If you have a Facebook account, most Instacart shopper groups or regions or whatever will have a page. So in the search, type in Instacart shoppers capital region and see if that pops up for you or something to that effect. And that way, any of the local stores, they may have more information on how to better shop at it, what are better routes, like say some of those gated communities. Hey, if you're leaving from this store, this is the most efficient route. Don't follow GPS. Excuse me. So utilize social media as far as that goes. And that way you also get to know the shoppers in your area. So if you run into them at the store, you're starting to build a network as well. So make sure you check that out on Facebook. And like I said, they might be able to help you with more specific questions to your specific region. Like, I'm not going to know anything about Houston, Texas. I can tell you about the area I live in. I can tell you about where I used to live in New York or where I used to live in Ohio, but I can't tell you one word about Houston, Texas or Santa Fe. So try and get a hold of people within your region that could potentially help you out, and that would be a big deal. The other big deal is the Shopper Help Center on the Instacart app is a great tool to use. Make sure you utilize it. It is there for a reason. And like I said, I'll post other videos within the usage of the app. So I'll take you step by step with hours, earnings, doing an order, how am I doing, how to track your metrics, all of that good stuff. If you like the video, hit like, and I hope you all have a lovely day. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.